welcome to the business meeting. We're still working out our procedures because, of course, last year was very different being all virtual. So, very glad to be here with everyone. The first order of business is secretary.
Hi, everyone. The meeting minutes from our last business meeting, which was virtual, were published in our newsletter. See, what would that be? Fall? After fall? Winter? I believe that's when they were published. Or anyway, so they were published in our newsletter. And does anyone? We've had time to review those. We want to have a motion to approve those meeting minutes. Is there any corrections or a motion? Jackie moves to approve the meeting minutes from our last business meeting. Anyone second? Mary Holt seconds. Thank you.
Trying to remember suddenly, I'm drawing a blank if we need to actually have any discussion on the approval of the minutes, but I don't believe that we do for this case. Is that correct? Yes. Oh, I need to be closer. Sorry. I'm still so strange having the mask, I know. So, all in favor of accepting the motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting? All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Fantastic. Next up, it is our election year. So take it away, Mr. President-elect Dantel.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your 2021 GLPA election. What do you think? I'm going to dive into logistics. I just want to level a joke first. Did anyone ever read We by Jani Zamyatin? It's like a great dystopia. Anyway, there's a scene in it where they're like, we've perfected democracy. We have 100% of the vote. Everyone shows up at the stadium on election day, and we all vote to keep the supreme leader as ruler of the nation. So we're not going to do things quite like that. Right. Instead, the Agency for Democracy, we will be distributing ballots. Inside of your name tag holder in the back pocket, you have two cards which say exchange for ballot. One of them is in the event that we have a runoff, in which case we'll issue a second ballot. But get your first ballot number 1 card out, and I have a couple assistants who are going to help me distribute ballots around, and then help me count. So I think Derek and Eric and Mark Webb and was Anna going to be the other person helping? I forget. Yeah, we're going to have a few people come up to help distribute ballots and trade them in for cards. And while they are doing that, we are going to give each of our candidates about a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes to speak, because we haven't actually done that historically before. So if you are a candidate for office, which means Paulette Epstein, Mark Percy, Jean Creighton, Tiffany Stonewolberk, Mitch Lumen, Shannon, Schmall, Keith Davis, or Mary Holt, if you would please come and form an orderly line to make your position statements quickly, and we will commence with the voting. I know, but I'm really bad with it, because I only ever type it. And then in addition, all the absentee ballots are in and voted, but I won't tell you anything to not spoil any results. That's a good question. Let's go with the president-elect candidates first. So president-elect candidates, if you want to do rock, paper, scissors for who goes first. All right. Paulette will come up first.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Paulette Epstein. I am the Director of Science and Theaters at the Michigan Science Center. I have been a GLPA member. My first conference was in 2009, one of Randy Olson's students coming here from UW Stevens Point. And I had my first Glpa experience, and I kind of fell in love with GLPA. So I was out of the region for a little bit, but was back in it in 2014. Have been pretty involved. I have been membership chair since 2016. And I have loved serving GLPA, and I want to continue to serve GLPA in a slightly larger role. One of the things that I've loved to see over the last couple of years with GLPA is seeing all new faces, seeing a much more, a lot more women, a lot more diverse backgrounds, and I want to continue to help GLPA push the envelope on diversity and inclusion and get and really just become a more diverse and inclusive environment. So that's why I'm running for president-elect.
And in an effort to make sure that we have a red-haired person as president-elect, I was nominated. I'm Mark Percy, if you don't know me. I'm the director of a K-12 planetarium outside of Buffalo. So I said, you know, I've been a freeloader a long time. I should be doing something to help out. So you may remember a couple of years ago, I was a candidate for president-elect, and Dan, you're doing a great job. So I thought, oh, I'll host next year's conference instead. Okay, so we're doing that. We'll see you all in Buffalo next year. And then they nominated me for president-elect again. So if elected, I would do my very best to execute the position. And I think I got a lot of interesting experiences, but I'm just honored to be nominated at all because this is an incredible organization. As I said in my statement, it's one of the only places you can go where people really do pitch in and help out. So thanks for your time.
Okay, so next I'll call up our candidates for secretary. We have Shannon Schmall, secretary is Jean Creighton and Tiffany Stonewolberk. So again, however you want to work it out between yourselves, who should speak first?
Hello, I'm Jean Creighton. I'm the director of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee's Planetarium. I have been coming to the Glpa meetings since 2008, almost exactly after I got the job. And I have found this to be a very welcoming group, a very supportive group, and I've learned a lot from you. I would like to give back. I'd like to offer my opinions, my insights, and how to run a small planetarium. And I'd be very honored to be the next secretary. I should say that I think it's marvelous that we do have so many people, so many qualified, wonderful people running. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Stonewolberk. I've been a member, I think, since 2014. My first Glpa, everyone was so friendly and welcoming, and I was just a young grad student and had no idea that I could actually make a living doing this. And so thank you for sharing that space with me. This has been a wonderful, wonderful organization. My story is similar to many of you. I fell backwards into the planetarium field, and it was thanks to Glpa, and so I love to give back, and I will give back regardless of the outcome of this. I look forward to giving back to Glpa. I will continue to do that. As your secretary, I have a focus on transparency. I think that's really important, that the members understand what the executive committee is doing, how hard they're working for you. Please fill out your survey. They read those. They really do. I promise. I write it down. Yeah, I'm your transparency officer, and I feel that I'm the person that you would come talk to if you have any questions or anything. I'm here for you, so that's my focus as secretary. Thanks.
Okay, and next I'd like to call up our candidates for treasurer, Shannon Schmall and Mitch Lumen. Once again, you can decide whichever order you'd like to speak in.
I guess I'm closer. It's been 20 years since I stood before you and received a service award, the first service award of GLPA, and During the 20 years since then, a lot has happened in my professional career. I had to raise the funds to build a new planetarium in my community, and then we had the SARS-CoV-2 virus and all that time that we had to think about what we wanted to do with our lives. During that time, I had realized that I hadn't been active in GLPA the way that I had wanted to and the way that I saw myself. Consequently, I chose to be your next treasurer. As treasurer, I promised that I would take care of the finances of our organization the same way I keep care of my finances personally and do a really good job with that. I think everybody can understand where I'm coming from in that regard. You needn't be a GLPA member for 40 years to know just how great this organization is, and it would be a privilege to be a part of the executive committee of this organization. So with that said, vote the Indiana ticket. Vote Mitch Lumen for treasurer and Keith Davis for inclusion and outreach officer.
Hi, everyone. I'm probably going to reiterate what a lot of people said, but back when I was a graduate student, I was working in Matt Linkey's dome, and he told me to go to a Glpa, and he told me to go to a Glpa, and he kept telling me, and I never could with my teaching schedule. So in 2014, I'm Shannon, by the way. Shannon Schmall. Hi. But he told me to go to a Glpa, and I finally got to go in 2014 after I took the role of director at the Abrams Planetarium at Michigan State. And I understood immediately why he told me to go to Glpa, because this is one of the most amazing organizations. It's very supportive and loving and kind, and it would be an honor to serve you as treasurer. And having hosted Glpa in 2018, I have at least some experience dealing with the Glpa budget. So I hope you enjoyed that one. But also, I think the role of treasurer, it's definitely to keep track of the finances, to take care of them, to make sure that we are healthy. But I also think part of that is looking at where we have funds and where we can reinvest those into our organization to support our members, to support DEI initiatives, and to help us all grow as an organization and as planetarians. So that is what I would hope to do with this position. So thank you, and it would be an honor to serve you if I were to win. Thank you.
Okay, and the last office on your ballot is a brand new office. As you might recall, in the last election, we updated our bylaws, basically influenced by the change in IPS's affiliate to board structure, which made the position of IPS representative, which has been with Glpa for, I don't know, 40 years, whatever the IPS timeline is, made it obsolete. And so we wanted to keep the balance of elected officers with appointed officers on the board. So we retooled that into the inclusion and outreach position. And I will say, in having conversations with prospective candidates, the big question is, what do you see the role of this office being? And one of the big things I told our prospective candidates is I think part of that is for you to create for yourself. I think we all have goals of making this a more inclusive organization, of outreach in new ways, but I think the specifics, it's the first chance to take this new role in the organization and make it into something to have a positive, transformative effect on the association. And I feel really lucky with the two candidates we have for the office, Keith Davis and Mary Holt, and I will turn it to them.
Hello. I'm Mary Holt. I work at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, but I've been involved in Glpa technically since, I think, 2013 or 14. I went with Matt Linkey to the Michigan meeting one year. And in 2017, I came to Pleiades, and the rest is history. I'm still here. You're stuck with me forever. And when I learned that we were going to have an inclusion and outreach officer, I was very excited by that idea and was like, I'm not going to run for that because I don't know what to do. And then Dan was like, but you could, though. And I'm like, I guess, okay. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and the biggest thing that I'm thinking about and reflecting on right now is what our wonderful speaker yesterday was talking about, of that change takes a really long time, but it's happening, and I want to support that change however I can. So there you go.
And hi, my name is Keith Davis. I'm the director of the Digital Visualization Theater at the University of Notre Dame, which is a planetarium, even though that's not what the sign says. I've been a member since 2009. My first Glpa ever was 2009. My second Glpa ever was when I hosted in 2010. If you ever want to get to know a lot of people in Glpa, I highly recommend hosting because suddenly you know everyone, or at least everyone knows who you are. It's been a few years since then, so I'm sure there are some new faces that I haven't gotten the chance to know. I'm very excited and happy to be nominated for this new position. Honestly, I think it's an honor to be considered for a position like this because I think it's a challenging and exciting position because what it tells me, the fact that Glpa got together and decided to add a new executive board member for this tells us that this is something that we really care about, and I think having this new position is an expression of love to the rest of the world and the people that we want to bring into our organization and want to make feel comfortable there. So it's something I feel really strongly about, not only as a way of increasing the strength of the organization, because the more diversity we have, the more ideas we have, and the more people we bring into the room, the more we have to work with. But also just the fact that I genuinely believe it's the right thing to do, and I hope that you do too, that I want to reach out and I want to make sure that I spoke to a friend of mine when I accepted the nomination, and she said, I think you're a good person to do this, and she said the one piece of advice that I would give to you is to remember to make it comfortable for the people that are already there. So I want to start by, if I am elected, one of the first things I want to do is try to make sure that I am a person that you can come talk to and let me know whatever concerns you're having. So I think that would be a good space. Also for outreach, I'm not going to forget that part. I think it's important to reach out and to make sure that other people know how great of an organization this is and why it's worth their time to be a part of it. So I think that's probably more time than I was supposed to use. Thank you all.
Okay, so I want to say one more quick thanks to all of our candidates, and I do want to just reflect quickly on, it was a really moving experience getting to speak to all these candidates and some additional prospective candidates who ultimately decided not to run for office. Obviously, I've said many, many times, Glpa means a lot to me. I feel like I owe a lot in my life to Glpa. And it was just really heartening to speak to so many people who felt the same way. And I especially want to reflect on that for the new members who have joined us in the last couple of years and are getting to experience their first conference. I'm really sorry if you accidentally signed up for a life-changing experience and you didn't know it. But I do hope that even if not this year, we really can become a community that supports you and includes you and has a place for you, and that we will always continue to grow and develop and become a home for new people. And that, yeah, we will always have a continuous slate of people eager and ready to become active and involved in the organization. So thank you all for being such a wonderful membership. And with that, if you have a completed ballot, well, actually, I should check before complete ballot. Does anyone still have their ballot number 1 ticket and would like a ballot and has not exchanged it? Yeah, okay, I see only one person. And so with that, if you have a completed ballot, please fold it, hold it up in your hands for one of our collectors. And as the ballots get collected, if our ballot assistance crew wants to meet me at the back table over in the corner, we will begin counting, and I will be back up here later to announce your results or force us through a runoff if we have to. Yes. Yeah.
If you are a member and you either didn't get, if you're a current member, you take your membership. Hold on. If you are a current member, you know you've paid your dues and you did not get a ballot card, or if, not to mention any names, you forgot your ballot card and didn't get a ballot, if you could just check with me or with Paulette, membership chair, and if we could just verify that you are a current member, then we can get you a ballot.
Yes, believe it or not, we do keep records of all this stuff so we can figure it out very quickly. So yes, if you do need a replacement ballot and you don't have the evidence, yeah, talk to Jeff or Paulette quickly and we will sort that out for you. Because it's going to take us a few minutes to count, so we got a little time. All right, I will turn things back over to our president, and I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, while we get these ballots going here, I do have a brief announcement to add from Mark Reed. Anyone who did not get a book from him last night, go go ahead and as time allows during this meeting, go see him. He's right over there. Wave your arms up high there, Mark. He just doesn't want everybody rushing all over at once. So just when you get a chance, come on out and get one of those from him. All right. Get the computer back to life over here, and we will have our, let's see, treasurer. Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Steve Berkman. I'm from the Untitled Planetarium, and I am your treasurer right now. And actually for reals this time. Sherry and I have finally transitioned treasurership as of June. Sherry was amazing and kept on the roll for an entire year and a half after she was okay to not do it anymore. And we finally were able to do that. So this is, we're doing the Treasury Report. And I wanted to start with, especially for the new folks to Glpa, but also just for everybody, to just a brief overview of what our the financial part of our organization is like. Glpa is a 501c6, and we renew that filing annually by sending them a report to do that. The fiscal year is between April 1st and March 31st. The purpose of that being is that the midpoint of that actually aligns nicely with when the officers change after an election, which occurs on the equinox, the vernal equinox. And the midpoint of that fiscal year also aligns nicely with being right before the conference most of the time, right? So it allows us to get a snapshot of what the finances are right before the conference during the business meeting, the executive meeting and the business meeting. And then we get a understanding of what the finances are like at its midpoint, at its most base level, when we flip the fiscal year out. And as a consequence of this fiscal year, our taxes are due on August 15th, which they were posted, and everything's good with that. We also have two types of insurance that is just worth being aware of. We have a general liability insurance and a directors and officers liability insurance. Both of those are up to date and are currently active. And our assets, Glpa's assets, are really bank accounts, right? At least right now. In the future, that might change if we ever were to, for example, purchase equipment or something like that. But right now, we have 3 accounts that have funding in them: a checking account, a PayPal account, and a gift shop account. I will say the gift shop account is essentially not used anymore. It's kind of it's just a holdover from when we were processing gift shop transactions through a different kind of account than PayPal. Now that we're using PayPal for virtually everything, at least everything online, that gift shop account will likely not be there in the future. We just haven't gotten to the point of moving that out. But everything mostly resides in our checking and PayPal accounts. So in terms of an historic, sort of a short-term historic view of what our balances have been like, the graph on the left is the total of all of our accounts over the last couple of years, fiscal years. We will go back a little bit further, but we're still building this financial framework that's actually producing these graphs. And you will see some spikes at certain points. Those spikes correlate with this moment in the fiscal year, right before the conference, when we are receiving a lot of revenue as a result of registration and sponsorship. Usually at this point also, the conference expenses have not actually occurred yet, so we are heavy in funds, and then usually in November or December we start paying all the bills, and then the funds drop to their normal levels, which you see the rest of the year. The account breakdown is just showing how much we usually have in the checking account versus PayPal and the other accounts. You'll see the conference and image bank accounts, which are old accounts that have been closed, most recently this past July for the conference account. And here is also a historic look at our revenue over the course of the last fiscal year, specifically revenue. This is not including expenses, but just to give you an idea of how much money Glpa brings in as a consequence of sponsorship and membership, advertisements for the newsletter, and conference registration. And in this case, the revenue for conference registration really is primarily vendor sponsorships and the conference registration from the members. Oh, and I should say that this, this revenue is what you're seeing on the right side is the revenue specifically for fiscal year 22, which is the one we're currently in, and that's our current revenue as of September 30th, since that's when the midpoint of the fiscal year. And here we have expenses. So this expenses graph is for FY22 is incomplete because we haven't actually done most of the expenses for the conference, at least as of the tabulating of this information. We have made a couple since then, since I've been here at the conference. But you'll see that our expenses are still pretty significant in past years, and they will likely be in FY22. FY21 is the exception because our conference was virtual, and there were very few expenses in that time. Looking at the current expenses, though, for FY22, you'll see that, for example, PayPal has a significant portion of that, which will drop significantly when we actually make the payment for the hotel. But PayPal these PayPal fees are incurred for all of our PayPal transactions, and so we're tracking those separately just to get a feeling for how much of an organizational hit that business model produces. And then the other column here is mostly insurance, the directors and officers insurance, and tax prep things, and the IPS board representative contribution is folded into there. So those are mostly things that occur from year to year. And in this particular case, the conference expense is for a few vendor services, hosting costs, and things that are in person. And then I also wanted to sort of close out by just giving a brief look at some of the other expense categories, or I should say revenue categories, the revenue and expense, that we have, that we've been tracking. The one on the left shows the conference revenue and expense historically. Currently, it's only going to FY19 essentially because we haven't completed adding in the historic data yet. But you can see that for the most part, Glpa, the revenue that Glpa gets is higher than its expense, specifically related to the conference, and which is a fairly good thing. It's also a good thing to have that information so that we know going into FY22 that although we have a bunch of expense or a bunch of revenue, the expense is probably going to be within a reasonable margin so that we have more than enough assets to cover it. And then for membership revenue, I put this in here just to give us an idea of what our general revenue is like for our membership. It's, in the grand scheme, it's quite low compared to the actual revenue from the conference itself, but it's still relevant to know that that's generally around $2,200, $2,500 in the course of 1 year to the next. And that's it. So, any questions? Thank you, folks. No questions? Excellent. Well, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer all the Treasury stuff.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. And thank you also, again, to Sherry Adams for really sticking it out through everything. We just could not make those changeovers happen. So outstanding. Thank you very much. Close that one out. So next up is my report. Really not much to report, but some incredible thank yous, especially to, I don't know where he is, Jeff Holt. Where is Jeff? There you are, waving. So everybody wave to Jeff Holt and say, thank you, Jeff. Because coming in as an inexperienced exec member and having just that, the wonderful first 2 years as president-elect, that's great, but it's still, you're very green if you haven't already had the experience on the committee. And then becoming president just in the same week that everything is being shut down across the country and the world, that was really something. So thanks to Jeff and also to Dan Tell for his experience on the exec board, because the two of them together truly carried me. They really did. This was a very difficult time with everything going on. So thank you to the both of them for sure. Thank you also to, Mark Reed and Steve Crawford. Okay, because we had to move the conference, an entire conference, to another year and make all of those adjustments. And I want to also say thank you to Mark Percy and Kevin. Yes, I was trying to find you. The light is right there on my eyes. So thank you, both of you, for going ahead and changing your bid to the following year, because that really put our minds at ease, knowing that as things move forward, that we would be able to have a place to gather. And I am so excited to see both of your facilities next year. Very excited about that. And of course, thank you to Renee Kerrigan and Steve Crawford for the incredible amount of work they've had to do with changing so many plans constantly, just the shifting sands. And thank you to everyone who agreed to run for positions this year, because I know that wasn't always an easy decision to make. So that's about it for the President's Report. Lots of thank yous, very little substance, but it does come from the heart. Any questions? All right, hearing no questions, where is Jeff again? Yes, if you would come up here, Jeff Holt, please, to. I will add also a thank you to Jeff for taking on the role as registrar, conference registrar. That is one of those incredibly tough jobs.
Thank you. As has-been president, also known as past president, I don't have a lot of duties. I guess they just feel like you're so worn out from your 2 years of being president, coast out. But really the main job of the past president is to oversee changes and updates to the handbook. This is a very complex organization, whether you have found that out yet or not. And so we have a very complex handbook for being able to document all the things that happen, all the things that need to happen, and that document needs to be maintained. And so happy to say we're on track to having everything up to date by the end of my term in 4 months. Biggest thing we still need to work on is the membership handbook and some tweaks to the conference planning as well. But happy to report we're on track. Thank you. Let me also, with my registrar hat on, say that if Janet Beckstrom happens to be watching or hears about this, I want to thank her at least one last time for her wonderful documentation that made it possible for me to serve as registrar this year. So thank you, Janet.
I got a little tongue-tied and I did not point out that we are delaying the President-elect's report until Dan has finished with the election duties. So I apologize for not pointing that out. Next up we have Secretary's report. Tiffany?
All right, hi again. I wanted to take just a quick moment to thank Steve for this awesome PowerPoint. Thank you. He put this kind of together for us to make things pretty for you guys and also so you can remember our faces. Secretary report is pretty straightforward. The exec meets twice a year, and we try to do a lot of discussion and decision making in those meetings. But there's a lot of discussion that happens between the two that do not make it in the meeting minutes that are published. So I'd like to review those electronic votes with you guys. That's happened between our executive business meetings. So we moved to accept Adam Thames' offer to host the 2023 Glpa conference as a joint conference in Bays Mountain, Tennessee. So really excited about that. Looking forward to 2023. We had 11 people apply for our scholarship this year. And normally we move to fund 10, and so there's one extra. And we had a discussion why not support them, especially in this very difficult year. We wanted to support everyone, so we did that. And then we required proof of vaccination or a negative test result for this conference, hoping to make people feel more comfortable coming in person, which I think it did that job. That's great. And then just the specific, using the specific CrowdPass platform to offer you more variety in how to verify that vaccination or negative test option to us. That's it, pretty straightforward. Does anyone have any questions about that? Or? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Next up, the very final IPS representative report, Mike Smail. Let's give him a round of applause for finishing out this position.
All right, hi everybody. There we go. My name is Mike Smail. I am until the spring the affiliate representative for the Great Lakes Planetarium Association to the International Planetarium Society, or the IPS. IPS is the world's largest association of planetarium professionals, serving to grow communication, cooperation, and professional development for planetarians around the world. Currently just shy of 600 members. IPS has 25 affiliate organizations. Glpa is but one of those. Glpa is the largest of those, but IPS is focused, has a wide range of projects and tasks going on, more than I could ever hope to cover in this brief introduction. But a couple I wanted to draw attention to, a couple of content creation endeavors, activities, Voices from the Dome, and Pages of Stars. There's more information about all these on the IPS website. Also a couple of, now that there are a number of cultural exchange programs that IPS facilitates, including two of them, a Week in the Glpa and Week in the United States, that have submission application deadlines coming up at the end of this year. So if it's something you might be interested in, these are exchange programs where a planetarian from one part of the globe travels to another, learns about the cultural differences, presents content, and it's a wonderful informational exchange. And again, there's some direct URLs there at the bottom to learn more about both of those. Now, the global planetarians are represented by a series of continental board members. There are 1 to 2 board members per continent. Here in North America, we have 2. One of our board members is Dana Thompson from here in the region. And the second North American board position is actually, there's an election going on right now. So if you are an IPS member, you are eligible to vote in this election. We have 3 candidates for the other North American board seat, Derek, Carissa, and Michelle. And that election is open until December 2nd. So if you are an IPS member and you have not voted yet for your North American board member, please do so. Point of reference that next year, Dana's position will be up on the ballot. So the board members, it's kind of a staggered thing, so there's not a huge institutional drop-off there. I want to talk briefly about a couple of upcoming major events. There's the IPS conferences. IPS meets every 2 years. The next IPS conference is... Oh, I'm like batting 500 on video and slides for the day. This is great. It'll be in St. Petersburg, Russia, at the world's largest planetarium, Planetarium 1. It's a 37-meter dome housed inside an old gasworks building. The theme is Art and Science in the Sky. It's shaping up to be a very diverse, very exciting schedule of events with cosmonauts, CERN researchers, astrophysicists, a wonderful lineup coming together. The dates, it'll be in June of 2022. It'll be preceded by a full dome, the IPS Full Dome Festival, as we do. Delegate registration will be opening up in January. It'll start, the early bird end at $270, and then $450 is sort of the late end of registration price. IPS2022.com is the website for more information. A couple of notes about travel, getting there. So St. Petersburg, Pulkovo Airport is serviced by most European capitals, nowhere in the States, so you will need to get to mainland Europe, but London, De Gaulle, Rome, yeah, a lot of big European cities you can get to pretty easily, and then get to St. Petersburg from there. The airport, it's pretty quick and easy into town. Uber or taxi is about $15. And taxis are quite inexpensive there. Lots of accommodation options from the fanciest of fancy all the way down to very reasonably priced accommodations. So you can see the planetarium is the sort of the red marker in the bottom. There are also an incredible amount of Airbnbs and other sorts of apartment shares at very, very affordable prices. I was pleasantly surprised by that. So that's the 2022 conference, and then there's a host of cultural activities. St. Petersburg, they like to refer to themselves as sort of a city of planetariums. There's an old museum of cosmonautics in Zeiss, the Gottorf Globe, some of you may be familiar with, is in the Kunstkammer Museum in St. Petersburg. That's an old mechanical planetarium. And even that skyscraper, the Lacta Center, there's a planetarium up at the top of that as well. Plus the Hermitage and the Mariinsky Ballet. There will be a Red Sails Festival going on while the conference is in progress. So it's shaping up to be a really special, a really wonderful trip. The next IPS conference will be in June of 2024, hosted by the domes of the Stiftung Planetarium Berlin and Planetarium Jena. Anna Green, the conference organizers, is here in the back. She's our Glpa photographer. Looking forward to that. Some rough prices, some registration, hotels, but there is a phenomenal amount of information about this already to be found at the Planetarium Berlin URL there at the bottom. And just because I love showing airline maps, Berlin, actually Newark and Dulles. You can get there direct and nonstop from the United States, or again from all the assorted European capitals you see there. The next IPS conference, IPS 2026, the decision for that has not been made yet, but we are currently looking for potential host sites, facilities that might be interested in hosting an international conference. You'd usually be targeting around 500 delegates with capacity, dome space, meeting halls, just like a little bit bigger. If you or you have any maybe suggestions or thoughts of facilities that might be interested in that, feel free to chat with me or Dana, our board rep. The first presentation for prospective bidders will happen next summer at the IPS 2022 conference. The decision will be made in the off-year board meeting in 2023. All right, well, that's what I had. Thanks. Oh, any questions? Awesome. All right, thanks.
Let's go ahead and amplify that applause for Mike Smail for finishing out the IPS rep position, so the final GLPA IPS rep. Now, before we move on to conference planning, I see that Dan has returned,
So I forgot to count my own ballot till I sat down just now. So I'll give everyone one last chance. Are there any outstanding ballots? 3, 2, 1. Results are locked. Okay, so and really, this is. I always hear that we have very close elections in Glpa. We have had runoffs in the past, and it's interesting to see that firsthand, just how close people are, and I think that really speaks to the tremendously high quality of candidates. We already did 2 recounts back there because the margins were so close. So just to step us through, I'll start with the state chair election results from yesterday because the absentee ballots were not in until midnight. Just to review that, for the state of Ohio, the state chair will remain incumbent Dale Smith. For Michigan, it will be Ciara Johnson as the new state chair for Michigan. For WIMPS, it will be Sally Brummel as the new WIMPS chair. In Indiana, it will be Melinda, once again, incumbent returning to the position. And for Beyond the Lakes, the new Beyond the Lakes chair will be Jackie Bauman. So thank all of you state chairs for running. And just as a quick note, for those of you who are new or have not interacted much with your state chair, in a sense, the state planetarium organizations run independently of Glpa. They sort of are our constituents. So of course you have an annual state meeting as well. Often the states choose to combine. And what I love about state chair is I feel like it's one of the best ways for newer members to get involved with Glpa, because it's a great chance to meet the planetarians in your state and start to build this network for yourself in your region. So I hope we'll always have more candidates who are interested in the position come the next election cycle, and I would always encourage new members for it. Oh yeah, right, Illinois, sorry. Thomas Wilmich, also the incumbent, won again for Illinois. So thank you all. And yes, again, I hope we will have an excellent competitive slate of candidates next time around. Now, for your officers, I'll do this in reverse order, build some tension. Our new Inclusion and Outreach Officer, the inaugural person to occupy this position, will be Keith Davis. Congratulations to Keith. For Treasurer, and I think I mentioned, this is an interesting election. We only had one incumbent rerunning. So thank you, Steve, for your service, and I hope we will see you back in exec in some capacity in the future. But our next treasurer will be Shannon Schmall. Our secretary will remain the incumbent, Tiffany Stonewolberk. And for president, I would like to apologize to both candidates, because our next president will also have to be conference host next year. It will be Mark Percy. And Paulette, I'm sorry, you have to keep doing membership for me. But thank you so much. It was an unbelievably, incredibly close election. Like I said, we did 2 recounts, but it was not a counting error. But I'm really impressed that we had such great candidates. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you all and working with you all. A pleasure serving on the nominations committee and the scholarship committee in my role as president-elect. And I hope I will do an okay job as president for the next 2 years. And if not, then I'll be gone. So, all right. But thank you so much. It is a pleasure to work with this organization. Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't have much to report in my report. Where'd I put it? Renee can go and I'll.
Thank you. I guess we are looking these on. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, everybody. It's exciting to have our new slate of candidates. That I'm here to report about conference planning. So my first task is just to say another big thank you. So let's give Mark Reed and Steve Crawford a round of applause. They truly have worked very, very, very hard to get this conference off the ground. And I have greatly enjoyed it. And I have heard nothing but good things from all of you. And you've been patient with any little snags we've had along the way. So I think that speaks a testament to our fantastic hosts and their organization. So thank you to both of you. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Tom Dobes and the whole videography team. Let's give them a round of applause. This year, they not only did the streaming of the conference that we've done in previous years, but also figured out how to allow virtual participants to view our paper sessions and to join in on Zoom and ask questions. And that's not easy, and Tom figured that out. So I'm really grateful for that. And hello, virtual participants. We can see you on our screen, and we're glad to have you here. And Tom, also, I'm not sure, a lot of this work is invisible, so maybe some of our delegates don't understand that. Tom also builds our conference registration website every year and puts a ton of work into that. So we really appreciate that, Tom. Thank you. Another big thank you to Jeff Holt, because he was the conference registrar, also providing a lot of institutional knowledge to me as I learned the role as conference planner, and I couldn't have helped in my role without Jeff. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. And to Katie Downing, who took on the role of being the host for our virtual conference and spent a lot of time in front of her computer. Katie, are you there? Thank you. You're awesome. We appreciate you, Katie. And I want to genuinely thank all of you for coming, because Glpa is super rewarding to me. It's been a tremendously positive part of my life and my career. And the conference means a lot to me, and I did put a lot of work into it, and it wouldn't be worth it if you didn't come. And I'm grateful to have spent the time with you in the past couple of days. Thank you for coming. So another part of the conference planning report is we usually have a roll call of the state meeting dates in the spring and their locations. And Tiffany, will you record this so I don't have to type? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Illinois Our state chair, Tom, where are we meeting in the spring and what's the date?
So for the location, it'll be at Adler in Chicago. And first we're going to combine meetings with the WIMS people, and the date will be May 14th, 2022.
Okay, so that's May 14th at the Adler, Illinois, and WIMPS. Awesome. So that's a Wisconsin, Minnesota group. So Indiana, where are you meeting and what date?
Indiana, March 26th, we'll be meeting at Mitch's place. Poor guy has to drive up north all the time, so we're going down south. So at the Holt Immersive Theater. And we were welcomed as an invitation, so some of us may be joining later as well with the wings.
Awesome, great. That should be a great meeting on March, what was that date? March 26th, the Indiana meeting at Evansville, Indiana. Michigan.
Michigan will be at the South Museum of Natural History. So when it starts place in Ann Arbor, still TBD.
Okay, Michigan will be meeting in Ann Arbor, date to be determined. Ohio.
The Ohio hosts to meet at the Works indoor, date to be determined.
Okay, Ohio will meet at the Works, date to be determined. And Beyond the Lakes, can you describe, I know you guys have rolling meetings sometimes.
Quarterly meetings, usually 2 weeks-ish before when the newsletter updates are due. And I plan on just following the format that Mary did because she did a really wonderful job setting up Beyond the Lakes chair, and I'm not going to screw that up as much as I can.
Okay, so Beyond the Lakes meets virtually quarterly. Did I get everybody's meetings? Think so? Okay. All right, I'd like to welcome up our hosts for next year, Mark Percy and Kevin Williams. Let's give them a round of applause for the work that they have already put into this conference, because they have already put in a lot of organizational work, and we know the work that they will put in the coming year. So I'll turn over to Mark and Kevin.
All right. Hold on 1 second here. So, we hope to welcome you to Buffalo next year, and our theme for the conference is going to be Natural Wonders, because not only are we immediately adjacent to one of these 7 natural wonders of the world, Niagara Falls, but we are also have arranged to host a total solar eclipse in just a couple of years. Actually stepping outside the back door of my planetarium, 3 minutes and 51 seconds of totality. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting, and maybe you'll think about visiting Buffalo. So we know what you think about when you think about Buffalo. Right? I mean, come on, you get a good blizzard every few years or so. But you guys are Glipans, and it's gonna be October, so I mean, how bad can it be? Thank you, Jackie, for the artwork. All right. No, it's October's usually a lovely time to be around the Buffalo area. Oh, I'm gonna stay around in front of the mic. Great time to be around the Buffalo area. The lake actually keeps us warmer in the fall. And I want to turn the floor over to Dr. Williams here to tell you a little bit about Buffalo State College.
All right, just briefly, we have a brand new science and math complex that the planetarium is in. You probably notice it in the glass enclosure there. Just to give you some information about the planetarium, we did just open up pretty much about a month or so ago doing our public shows. We've been doing some sporadic school shows on campus over the last semester. But we have a 35-foot nanocene dome, as you see. We seat 48 folks. We have the Spitz 4K digital system, Zeiss CKP4, AVI Skylaze effects in the back with the 2 beam effects you see, and then chroma cove lighting as well. And so we have this brand new facility that we're really excited to have you guys in for part of the conference next year.
All right, and we'll be spending a day out on the campus of the Williamsville Central School District. That's my planetarium. Doesn't look like a whole lot from the outside, but On the inside, we've got a great Spitz A5 star projector, Definity full dome system, AVI skylays, and there should be plenty of room for vendors to set up additional projection equipment. Because of the size of this group and the limited seating at both planetariums, we're gonna have to do alternating sessions, but we've also got an auditorium which just got a huge renovation. Still working the bugs out of it when I get home next week, but it's gonna be a great place for exhibition for vendors as well as paper talks as well. I'm gonna talk about Buffalo State again.
So when not at Mark's place and not at the hotel, we'll be on campus in some of the other facilities at Buffalo State. We have a large social hall, as they call it here, where we'll have some of our meals, as well as we're planning the sponsor hall for in there. So there'll be really easy access to talking to the sponsors and enjoying food all in the same location. And just next to it, if we need it, there's also another room that can be either used as one larger room or split into two for workshops or other sessions, depending on how the schedule shakes out. This is all on campus within really less than 5-minute walk to the planetarium, and so it's all really right in the same location right on campus. I guess I'll just say too, as you see down toward the bottom of the map on the right, that's where the hotel is that Mark will talk a little bit more about. As you look up toward the top of the map, that's where our campus is. So we're really a 10-minute drive from the hotel, at least for Buffalo State.
Yeah, this map just intended to give you the layout of the city, where the hotel is downtown Buffalo State, and then I'm out in the suburbs on the other side of the university at Buffalo, which is the second institution we have, but we're also trying to we're planning to include them in some of the activities as well. The hotel, the Embassy Suites, Buffalo, it's a lovely conference center like this one we're in today. Got us a pretty reasonable room rate, which $119 a night, which does include breakfast, so that should be fairly affordable. The opening reception, well, Buffalo State's actually right across the street from not one, but two world-class art museums. The opening reception is planned to be in this Birchfield Penny Art Center, which also has a beautiful auditorium, great exhibition space for vendors to tell us all the good things they've got going on. And then here's one of the places we want to involve the university at Buffalo. The astronomy professors there do more theoretical work with cosmology, and they do some of their work on this supercomputer cluster at the Center for Computational Research. So we're planning to include that, a visit there. As well as some of Buffalo's incredible architecture. Buffalo was at one point the largest city, other than New York City, the largest city in the country, and a lot of that architecture has been well preserved. So things like Frank Lloyd Wright designed houses, others just incredible things. We'd like to give you a little flavor of that as part of the conference as well. Buffalo State also happens to be right immediately adjacent to one of the coolest parts of town, the Elmwood Strip. The hotel is on another street called Chippewa, which is the other nightlife scene. So we actually are hoping, because we're going to extend the length of the conference. This is something we've been talking about for a lot of time, but we're planning to extend it another day and would want to give one of the evenings to be non-traditional and get people out and either doing more activities at the planetarium or seeing some of the cool things that are right around in the neighborhoods of Buffalo. So we certainly hope you'll join us for the natural wonders. Have a trip to Niagara Falls after the conference is over, or come early and see what we have to see in our lovely city.
All right, well, thank you to Mark and Kevin. I am definitely looking forward to this conference and working with the two of you to and get us ready for next year. Looking ahead, as you saw in Tiffany's notes for the action items we had voted on exec, we did vote as exec to join the ALL's Stars for All Conference in 2023. This will be another national conference. All of the United States Regional Planetarium Associations will be joining this conference, which will be in Kingsport, Tennessee, at the Bays Mountain Park and Planetarium. This will be not in Glpa's traditional time frame, so please note the dates if you want to plan ahead to 2023. It'll be from Tuesday, June 20th to Saturday, June 24th. And as Mark just alluded to, that Tuesday through Saturday range is actually what we are doing moving forward. Different month, but the same range of the week for 2022 and 2024. 2022 and 2023. Bays Mountain has just had a technology upgrade. So it is a beautiful dome with a brand new projection system from Zeiss and Seiler Instrument. And it is on, I haven't been there yet, I'm looking forward to going, but everybody who's been there has told me about how beautiful this site is. It's on a 3,650 acre nature preserve with animal habitats, trails, and a large lake. So I think it'll be a lovely conference, so look forward to that in 2023. And then the last thing I want to mention is that there is a conference survey. I will email it to you as well, but it's also, you can scan that right now and get to it. It's also on your pocket schedule. You can scan the QR code, or there's a bit.ly little web address there. And we do genuinely take it very seriously, the feedback that you give us. Everybody on the exec board reviews it. We discuss it. We have implemented changes based on the comments that you have given us in this survey. So please take time. I would ask you to do it before you leave the conference. Take time to fill it out, but it'll be open for a couple of weeks after the conference, but I hope you'll fill it out. And then the last thing, which is not a part of my official report, but just a general reminder, is that the Constellation Shootout tomorrow is in the planetarium. So there was a sign up available at the check-in table for that, and I think I might have caused a little confusion. That sign up was not to say that you will be an active competitor in the Constellation Shootout. It was just because we only have so many seats available in the planetarium. So if you would like to attend to that at all, we still have room left. It's a lot of fun. We have Dan Tell and Michael McConneville as our dynamic duo hosts of that event. And so there's still room left, and you can sign up, or probably it'll be okay for you to go at this point, I think. But I think the sign-up sheet is still on the check-in table downstairs. And does anybody have any questions for me? All right, then, thank you.
Thank you, Renee. And let me get this next up here. Okay, so we're a little bit out of order from the agenda because of the use of the slide deck, but I did want to go ahead and fill in for the development report. So Chris McCall could not join us. She sends her heartfelt regrets. She also sends regrets, but she is stepping down from the position. She has many changes to her work and family time requirements. She wishes to thank especially Steve Crawford for filling in for her. So Steve has the information that I'll be using to put together the report that will appear in the newsletter, but he's been kind of busy during this conference making things happen. So thank you very much, Steve. She also wishes to thank Renee and Jeff for putting together the sponsor survey that will go out. If it may have gone out already, I didn't check on that beforehand. And I confirmed and can announce that Steve Crawford will be filling the position as development chair. So everyone please give a hand for Steve. Welcome. And we thank Chris for definitely trying her best on this, and for agreeing to continue as door prize chair. So I only have to do it this one time. So thank her for that too. next up. So I know on the agenda, I think I had education and membership reversed, so I apologize for that. So Paulette, come on up, membership.
Great. Hello, everyone. So I have my membership report here. Our number of GLPA members has rebounded from last year. We did have a significant decrease in members last year, but we are back up. As you can see from our graph, we have had a significant dip after 2017. That significant dip is because vendors were not automatically members anymore. So now vendors are able to be members if they would like, or sponsors are able to be members if they like, but they are not forced to be members of our organization anymore. So with that is why we have that significant drop. As well as in 2017, we had a lot of people pick the least expensive membership, which is GLPA, for the Pleiades conference, because you had to be part of one of the member organizations. So we're rebounding after the pandemic and seeing an uptick in our members. We've got our membership by type here. I've always done all of these pretty graphs. They're always in my report every year, but I just copy and pasted them to the slide deck that we have. You may notice that we have fewer student memberships than we have in the past, and that is because our friends Greg and Barb have retired and are no longer bringing their students with them. So that always bumped up that number quite a bit. Planetarium type, a lot of people are permanent planetariums, but we have a lot of portable and both, as well as people that don't have planetariums at all in our membership. Institution type, if you check this, and I think we've talked about this in years past, these numbers don't add up to our current number of members, and that's because you can actually choose to. So for example, if you are part of a university and a museum, you can choose both of them. Most people have switched over to full dome technology. There are still a few of us that are using traditional, but it's just interesting data and information that we have about our members. Worldwide, we do offer GLPA memberships worldwide. Our largest region is actually beyond the lakes. Our largest state is beyond the lakes, so followed closely by, well, not really closely. Then we've got Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. We do have 2 European members, both of which are in Germany. And then as Mike Smail said, we are the largest part of IPS. We have a lot of IPS members that are also part of our overall membership, 128 people. And we have quite a few members that are retired now too, so. Any questions? No questions. Yes. Yes.
How old do you have to be a senior GLPA?
So when we did our bylaw changes, we changed the wording on that. So it is 55 and older. You know it. Dan wrote it.
Well, I mean, it was a committee effort, but yes, with the last bylaw revision, one of the changes we made was we had like retired member and senior member, and we collapsed them into one category based on some conversations we had with other organizations. And so the current wording is to be a senior member, you should be 55 years or older and retired from regular planetarium employment. So what we mean by that is basically the IRS taxable definition of regular employment of full-time or consistently scheduled part-time work. So really it sort of follows the expectation of it is a membership category for those who are no longer actively working in the planetarium, but you know, as many of us, well, I shouldn't say of us, I'm not retired yet, but hopefully one day. As we know, many retired planetarians continue to volunteer and work on an ad hoc basis. We didn't want to exclude them from senior membership because it's so hard for people to leave their domes. But really, yeah, the main qualification is being retired from your regular role working in a planetarium. Otherwise, we went with 55 and up to meet other definitions of basically seniority, like the AARP one. So, yep. So that is the clarification. I know there was a little bit of confusion about that this year because that was the first year it was in effect. And if people don't like it, we could always change the bylaws again. So that's a great thing for the survey.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, so that is our definition after our bylaw changes. Any other questions? As Jeff Holt said, the membership handbook is kind of in disarray. And so we're going to be working on that as well as potentially looking into new technology options since our last technology changeover was 10-ish years ago. So we're going to be looking into that for membership and potentially conference registration. So, all right, thank you.
Yeah, don't fall, right. So thank you, Dan and Paulette. Paulette, thank you so much for all of what you've done with the membership, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of the handbook, since I'll be working on the handbook in the next 2 years. So next up we have our education report. Peggy Hernandez, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Peggy Hernandez, and I am a 30-year teacher. I taught 15 years of middle school science. Before that, I did 3 years of kindergarten and first grade, and then I've been in the planetarium now for something like 13 years. And there are 4 updates for the education report. First of all, the PPA continues to do their planetarium web seminars, which are terrific learning experiences. Alan Gould does a terrific job finding featured speakers, and I help him with that. So if anybody in here has a great idea for a topic or wants to be a featured speaker or has an idea for someone to be a speaker, please let me know, and I'll make sure to hook you up, and we'll be glad to zoom in and watch and join in on that. Don't forget that we have a grant project funding available. Members can apply for funding for a project that will benefit all members of Glpa, something that costs money other than paying yourselves or Glpa members to help you complete an end product or a service or something that everyone could potentially benefit from. So if you go to the Glpa website under Get Involved, there's a landing page with more information and the application.
I do have a
Question.
On that issue, what sort of total budget range? Sorry, on that, what sort of total budget range is usually reasonable for that?
We have $4,000 budgeted for it, I think.
4,000. Okay, thank you.
And the last 2 items are kind of connected. I and an education subcommittee have been working on aligning our astronomy literacy document with the next generation science standards in a format for educators and planetarium directors to use. And it's about to be rolled out. It's just about ready. I presented it at the Education SIG. We've got a few little tweaks to make, some double checking of links, and we hope to roll it out on the next item, which is some upcoming GLPA PLC, Professional Learning Community Meetups on Zoom. And we're hoping to do these monthly, conversation style with a seed topic brought up. We haven't finalized official dates and times yet, but it'll be rolling out before the spring meeting, so I hope in the next month or 2, you'll get information through the GLPA Dome's email list on when to join. It's for GLPA members, and our first topic is going to be the literacy document, but at that point it will be available, and we'll answer questions, go through potential usage, let you play around with it a little bit, ask questions. Yeah, so do you have any questions? You know what, I had these on links here to make sure. Yes, question, go ahead. That's a good question. The GLPA domes, is that everybody, all delegates automatically? I don't think it is. Somebody more knowledgeable than me can help.
Yes, we specifically did not do automatic sign up on that email list because, of course, we want people to opt in to email and not be spamming your inbox. So if you would like to join the Glpa Domes email listserv, go to the Glpa website, and I think it's under resources or get involved. In the drop-down menu, there is the drop-down, and it's a Google group that you can join. You can also, yes, we can direct add you.
And I will also post the information on like GLPA, DOMEL, and the GLPA Facebook page. So that it'll be, the word will get out for the date and time for that in that way also. I covered it all. That was to help me make sure I covered everything. I know there's a lot of words on here. You can read it, but do you have any questions? Any education report questions? Going? All right. Thank you very much.
So next up, we have publications report, and we have Jackie, and Steve's going to help her out to get her the microphone. And my apologies, we closed off the folder I had open with the PDFs, so we got to do that.
I'll just stand right there and then the extra notes. So it's cool.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Jackie Bauman. I am the brand new publications chair, and this is my very first exec meeting, business meeting thing. So, yeah, so I'm excited and I'm nervous and I'm terrified and it's great. But I really appreciate Bart Benjamin for every single wonderful thing he does, because he's gotten me, he was okay with me doing this after him, which is awesome. And I think I saw that he might be watching this virtually. So hello, hope I'm doing well. Okay, so anyways, so I am, taking over for publications chair. Bart is still doing newsletter editor. And so mainly he wanted to step down from that, and then they found somebody who wanted to do it. And you may know me from such covers, newsletter covers, such as like the Apollo something 11. I illustrated some covers for the Glpa newsletter. So that's where you might have heard of me before. And I was also from Indiana originally, and now I'm in Buffalo with Mark Percy. So love to see you there. So anyways, Emily Hiromi and I still alternate covers. And so all this stuff is in the report, so feel free to, do I scroll by just grabbing it the side? Is there a scroll button? Okay, cool. Okay. All right, cool. So Emily Hiromi and I alternate covers to do for the Glpa newsletter covers still, and I still plan on doing that. So I've done 4, Emily's done 12, and I'm just gonna go and skim this as much as possible. If you wanna look into the details, feel free to read it in the newsletter coming up soon. So the distribution, which, I'm not going to read the statistics to everyone, because if you really want to know, you can just read it. Okay, so I'm not going to read it to you. So anyways, so that we have the different distribution, and obviously the electronic version is way more popular than the printed version, but we still do the printed version, and the statistics for that breakdown is listed in the reports. And so we do have our advertisements. We had 8 advertisers within the most recent newsletter. with 9 pages being used, with revenue, which is listed up there. And let's see. Come on. And then so that's the breakdown of all those things with all the different advertisers which should be appearing in the newsletter as well. And so social media at the time when I first came on fell under publications, and now with Keith Davis as the outreach, this will be his responsibility. So glad for that. So I have the breakdown for the most recent, at the time of making this report, the different followers and numbers for Facebook, Twitter, Slack, and Instagram. If you aren't following us on those social medias, please find those social media links somewhere on our website, probably under contact us. I don't have that information, but I'm sure you guys are very technologically advanced to find those things. So here are the breakdowns. I'm not going to go and read them through, but there's a bunch of different numbers that talks about current and what it's up from. Mainly, every social media had a little bit of a increase, with the exception of Slack, which is steady. So we have a Slack channel, so feel free to look for that and join it. And so we have a bunch of different people who are wonderful and volunteer their time for these social media pages, and those people are listed down there with each account. So a round of applause for those people. Thank you so much for volunteering your time and keeping our social media going. And so along that line, though, Renee Kerrigan is the primary person for Facebook, and she is wanting to step away from that role. So we are looking for volunteers on who would like to help us with Facebook Glpa. And so I guess you could talk to me, but I don't want to drop it all on Keith with his new appointness. Yeah. So, maybe talk to him. You could talk to me. You could talk to Renee. Find somebody and tell them. And we'd love to have you. I currently do Instagram, and I have Michael McConville as backup and support, but mainly it's me. He's there, but he's great. So anyways, I think that's really it. I don't want to go through everything again, and I just want to skim through that, because if you guys really want to know, it's going to be there and you can read it yourself. Is there any questions at all whatsoever? Yes, Renee.
Say that the reason I started doing the Glpa Facebook was because in a Glpa hospitality suite, I said to Jeff Holt, I wish that Glpa did more with its Facebook. And that was the first way that I became involved with Glpa, besides, presenting a paper or being a member. So just to encourage anyone who enjoys social media, enjoys being an active social media user or poster, that maybe you might feel like, oh, I don't know enough about it to be involved. It's a really good way to get involved. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's super easy to get involved if you've never ran a social media for an organization. Just try to be professional, and it's hopefully that's not a challenge for you. But if it is, please, maybe it could be practice or something. Who knows? But just consider it, because we would like some more people to help. I'm just going to keep rambling, so I'm just going to end, unless they have other questions. Yes. Oh, okay. I have that information. Just hold on.
What was the question?
Dantel would like to know how many newsletters Bart has edited, and he gave me that stuff in case somebody asked. So let me see. Where is it? I think I used an Apple II when I was in elementary school, but to play Oregon Trail. So, okay. The most recent autumn issue of Glpa newsletter was Glpa's 213th issue, and Bart's 135th, so 135 issue. So thank you, Bart. Thank you, Bart, for doing so wonderful. And so hopefully one of these years when Bart is able to come to a conference, you guys can talk to him, but he's a wonderful person. So I really appreciate working with him. I enjoy working with him. Is there any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope I don't let anyone down.
Thank you, Jackie. Next up is technology report. So Tom will set things up and then make his way up here. And while he does that, I should go ahead and just a note about door prizes. If you have not already shared your door prize that you brought, go ahead, find me, and we'll go ahead and get that put aside so that we can have it all ready for presentation tomorrow. Tom Dubs, everyone. Thank you very much.
Hello. I won't take up too much of your time today. Just one thing to note. The Zoom account that we are using for this conference, we're actually going to keep that active throughout the year. So if it's needed for any Glpa, organizations like we talked about for the learning communities, but also if there's any special interest groups that, if your institution has knocked down the level of your Zoom account because of, cost saving or whatever now that everyone's back in person, that's something that you have as a resource that you can utilize for any sort of Glpa stuff. And then what I have to share with you here is just some little information on the Glpa website and what we've gone through over the past half of a year. It's pretty standard for what we expect to see during conference season. Obviously an uptick from last year from the virtual conference, but things are looking pretty good. As you would expect, the top pages that people are visiting are indeed the conference pages. Vast majority of users visiting are from the US, but we also see a healthy amount of traffic from overseas. And lots of people using Chrome, most people on desktop browsers, and then there's also a breakdown there of our mobile traffic. So, doing things through Zoom this year has been a new experience, but I do want to, while I have the microphone, thank the video team. So Steve Sumacrest, John Forsch, Greg Williams is helping back there running a camera, and we also have Brian Wolf, who's remote this year, but is helping us with creating breakout rooms at Zoom, directing people around, and of course Katie, who's been our moderator there. So all of those people have just done great work to keep all this stuff moving. With that, are there any questions that are about technology? Okay, thank you.
All right, at this point, do we have any old business? Do you have to go? Did you not? We better get Dan up here again. He's done it, yes. Dan Towel.
I know, well, one day. My report is very short. It is mostly thank yous. There are two official duties for the president-elect for the most part. Those are chairing the nominations committee for Glpa and the scholarship committee. In Glpa, of course, we just went through our election, but everyone is really humble and really bad at volunteering to want to run for office. And so we form a committee to shake people down and try to make them do it, including me. Last election, I turned down nominations twice before they accepted. But yeah, so of course we would love to have people come up and approach us and want to run, but we do form a nominations committee to help shake some people out. And following tradition, we select one member from each of the Glpa sub-states. So the nominations committee for this year was Gary Beckstrom from Michigan, Katie Downing from Ohio, Mitch Lumen from Indiana, Mark Webb from Illinois, Sarah Schultz from WIMS, and myself on behalf of Beyond the Lakes. And I think that was a great tradition. It was a really great group to work with. Like I said, it was amazing talking to each of the candidates, and I realize now that the election's over, I didn't want anyone to lose, and that's really sad. But we try to make use of everybody in Glpa, and so I've already emailed everybody about future ways to be involved. The scholarship committee, Glpa, as you know, offers a conference scholarship. There's a whole bunch of rules and regulations on the website. It's complicated. It's complicated for us. It's easy for you to apply, hopefully. The bylaws stipulate that the scholarship committee is the president-elect chairing it, along with the membership chair, Paulette Epstein. I said it right this time, right? Stein. No, Epstein. God. Paulette Epstein. You think I'd be better at it? Sorry. Now I lost my place. Paulette, we also had Tiffany Stonewolberk, the secretary, join us for a specific reason. Sarah Devine and Jonathan Winkowski all served on the scholarship committee this year. We had a total of 11 applications. Glpa pre-approves 10, so rather than have to make a tough decision, we went back to the executive committee and had an 11th approved. So that's one of the things to know about scholarships. We're really interested in getting people to the conference if possible. So if you ever have the financial hardship and want to make sure you can attend, consider applying for the scholarship. This was also the first year that we introduced the Child/Dependent Care Scholarship, or grant, I should say. This was a really great idea from Tiffany, which is why she joined the scholarship committee. And it's modeled on something we've seen other conferences doing, where if you are a caregiver, either a parent of a young child or to another adult or dependent in your life, and it would create undue hardship or burden for you to be apart from them, or you have to arrange care or travel for them, or a whole host of options. We are now providing a scholarship that will provide a grant to hopefully offset and reduce that burden. We had a few applicants this year. We found out a whole bunch of logistical things we hadn't completely thought through, so hopefully it'll be easier and cleaner next year. But we'd really love to see people taking advantage of this because we want everyone to be able to attend Glpa. We want to support, parents, single, together, all combinations, and people, who are caregivers to adult relatives, friends, family, all of that. So that's a really great program. I'm glad we got to start it this year. And other than that, it's been an honor to be president-elect, especially with my dear friend and colleague and supporter and inspiration, Waylena, as president in this time. And I'll see you back here as I make the next step on the 6-year journey.
I keep thanking everyone for all of this amazing help, and someone did point out to me earlier that with the way things turned out, I didn't get that first conference as president to make some mistakes. I get to make all of the mistakes at once. So I keep trying to forgive myself a little bit for that. Now is the time, and I'm blinded again by the light. It's not my hair, honest, I promise. And, do we have any old business? Listening, okay, seeing and hearing none. Move on, do we have any new business? Yes, we have new business, Jeff Holt.
Well, it's actually Jeff Holt and friends. We had a special interest group, Planetarians for the Planet, meeting earlier today. And coming out of that, we decided we wanted to form a working group to form some action items that we can take care of as an organization. And so I guess one thing we're looking for is endorsement of the executive committee to form such a working group. And if so, anybody that's interested, please contact us and get involved. Other members of the group, did I cover what we were trying to do? Okay, questions about that?
I have one.
Can you just tell us more about what you mean by for the special interest group for the planets?
That would be helpful, wouldn't it? So if you didn't read the description of the special interest group, it's related to climate change. And several of us are very eager for our organization to be able to have some additional impact in informing and engaging our audiences in working toward solutions and becoming active in addressing this problem.
Thank you.
I was hoping you'd say something.
I just want to expand on that in my broken record kind of way, because there have been a couple email exchanges where I've said this, but climate change, the climate crisis is of course a fundamental existential problem, but it's not the only environmental crisis that we're facing. There's biodiversity loss. There are regional and local challenges that we all face. And I personally think that planetariums are positioned as a global network of fundamentally local and regional institutions to make a truly effective change in this regard. And it's about education, but it's also about helping to change people's minds. It's also about helping to bring people in to these topics in a way that they don't turn off, but can be engaged in local, regional, and global solutions. And since GLPA always leads the planetarium community, I think it's an opportunity for GLPA to take a leadership role in defining what this can be for the community, not just within the Great Lakes region and beyond, but really internationally. So there's a lot to that. It's about data and technology, but it's also about the psychology of behavior change. It's about communication. So it's an incredibly complex topic, but if we can address it, it also touches on many of the other things that I think are top of mind in the community about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because the people who are most affected by the environmental catastrophes that are occurring are the people who are the most marginalized in our society as a whole. And so even though it's really daunting to think of this giant challenge that involves climate and environment and diversity, equity, inclusion, and everything else, the opportunities for solutions that cut across those are huge. And again, I really think planetariums can be a fundamental force in communicating around this. And so I would be delighted if GLPA took a step in supporting the Planetarians for the Planet, kind of a working group idea.
Hi everyone. So I was not in that working group, so I'm not part of the and friends in this moment. But kind of related to all of this, one thing that some folks are trying to do is, led by Tiffany, is start a project on storytelling of local stories within the Dome. And so related to that, there is a survey that we have of what planetarians are already doing, what resources you need, what resources you have. So if you could fill out that survey, there's a QR code thing floating around somewhere. We'll find it. Come talk to me or Tiffany. And we would love to hear from you. And the hope is that we will be able to take that data toward the project, but also for just getting word out there. And Tiffany has it right there. For getting, we'll write that up as a paper basically, and get that published somewhere so that folks can know where planetarians currently stand and where we can go in the future. So it'd be hopeful for not just this project but beyond.
All right.
We can send that out to Glpa Domes. For anyone who's on Dome Dialogues, we did make a post of it, I think, last week as well, or Monday. So it's already on Dome Dialogues, and we'll send it out to more places as well in the coming week or so.
All right, so sending it to Glpa Domes and some of the other outlets for that announcement. Okay, returning back to the working group, Jeff, are you the contact for people who wish to be more involved in that? To the rest of the group. Okay, so you have the group established already and are looking for more people to join, or looking for more input specifically? Both? All?
Endorsement from the executive.
So the working group can come up with the suggested language, and then to submit to that's an outstanding idea. Yes. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Shannon. Fantastic. Yes.
Do we need a motion to move this forward, or is this something that we can just do by acclamation by the chair?
I think Dan has a...
So in this case, it seems most likely it would be the best fit to start this off as a working group or an ad hoc committee, both of which the president has the pleasure to be able to create without a vote. And I think that's what Wei is suggesting is y'all will come up with the language, and the president, whoever it will be at the time the language is delivered, I think it sounds like there's interest, and we will create this committee.
Yes. Do you have a name for the working group, or? Fantastic. Absolutely, yes. As president, yes, you have the ad hoc group for sure. Do I get to quote Picard and say, "Make it so"? Looking forward to this very much. I feel like I'm actually getting to do something at the moment. Anyone else? Anyone else on these topics, or any more new business? All right, well, I will add one thing that I would like to say that Steve pointed out as we looked out, saw how many people are here and engaged in this meeting, and wow, what a wonderful thing it is to see this level of personal engagement after all of this time being so remote and everyone being on these little screens. And I'm glad and grateful that we are still able to connect with, I was able to look down and see the folks that are still on their screens joining us that way right now. And I am grateful for everyone, one and all. Thank you so much for that. So any last call for new business? All right, yes.
State the obvious, it was a well-placed strategic timing for the meeting for involvement. So I think that's wise.
So she just said this was a well-placed strategic timing for the meeting, and that was wise, which was another observation that Steve made, was that having it at this time instead of the Saturday, instead of the Saturday, that worked out well. So I agree, it worked out well. We maximized the number of people available for the meeting. All right. Well, with that, I'm first drawing a blank. Do I need a motion for the adjournment? All right, I think I do. I looked at Dan because he's my. So moved, and there was a second. Was there? Second. All right. Monitor had it. Okay. All right. All right. Now I don't think we need a vote on this one. Correct? Correct. Then I declare us adjourned. Thank you so much.